One of those froze mornings. But a few clouds there bring some color to the sunrise. And yeah, I gotta play with the angle of the camera to make it show up, but excuse me. There it is this morning, folks. It's a new week, a new day. God knows what it'll bring. Well, we all live through it, right? Well, I looked out before it was gone, and hey, look at there. If I turn it this way, you can see the flag. No, well, a little breeze this morning. Just enough, you know, the air's cold. But I looked out before it disappeared. And let's see, kind of the middle of the screen there, there's, I guess, a boomerang looking very bright. I know what it is because I can see it growing, I think. It's like contrail. Maybe. May just be a weird cloud. And then over to the sun. Kind of looks like I got the camera upside down and that's water rushing into someplace, doesn't it? Okay, back in the warmer shop. Get something done before number one gets here. Well, I got some news this morning. Probably about the same time the calf died inside that cow right there. My friend Tom's wife, Rose, who's been battling cancer for a year for her second or third time around, knew it was coming. I talked to him a little bit ago, and the small chat asked how things are going, and he apologized for not getting some parts made for me on Friday because he had to go in and be shown how to give her morphine. Once morphine comes out, it's usually only a few days. She passed away about noon on Saturday, the 10th, so I'm kind of figuring that calf was about a day or so when we pulled it out. That'd be pretty close. I was going to tell him that we sent a calf to heaven for her to meet when she got there because she loved to come out here and see the babies. She hadn't been able to do that for a year. They both grew up with cattle, so something she loved to do. So, I know I asked for your prayers way back when, and you all did, and hey, that got another year out of her, so thank you. And hey, guess what? I guarantee she's up there loving it on a little baby bull calf. Well, it's been a day, not overly productive. Becky and number one decided they'd pull my bike in here and figure out how to make it run. Well, I know how to make it run. It's an 87 Honda 350 Foreman. The only freaking one they put an electric fuel pump in, put the fuel tank underneath the seat. Fuel pump's not the problem. I changed that a long time ago. But every time you go to start it, it will flood out immediately, foul the plug. So if it don't fire right off, number one, you don't choke it to begin with. You try it without. Then if it don't fire and you choke it and it still doesn't fire, you pull the plug, you take a torch, you burn it off, you put it in, fires right up every time. So, of course, Becky, oh, well, it needs this. It don't need nothing. It needs a wash job bad. It would have been nice if they'd have cleaned it up before they brought it in here. It was still covered in hay from being against the haystack. And while they brought that in with the doors open and the wind blowing out of the east, which, by the way, that's east, I was laying there on a creeper, getting those tanks mounted. Always love a face full of crap. So, tanks are on. Working on scrounging pieces. This is all funky because that's a check valve. And I wanted to have check valve into this. This is the dry tank, that's the wet tank. And the way it worked out, the wet tank happens to have a 90-degree check valve in it. So that'll be direct from the air compressor. And I'm scrounging pieces up to come to this one, because this one's got to run a line to that brake valve and a line up to my park brake valve up there on the doorpost and to the treadle valve over there on the other side of the carburetor. So really at this point I only got to come out with two. One will go directly to that valve and the other will come over and come up the post, and I'll put a T in it right here to run up to the park brake valve and then run the other over to the treadle valve. So, but you know, hey, got a mess going again. Of course, got this thing in the way. I think I swept the floor over here about 10 times today and there's still some steel shavings on the floor there. So anyway, this is on. Appears that everything's going to work fine to set the foam mark tank on top of it. I'm not overly fond with where I ended up with this. I wish it was farther forward, but I got to make a tank fit on top of these, and they're all the same length, and I got to have room to get in to do other things. And yeah, just a lot of thinking and figuring. I did, however, do one thing today. There's 4 ground wires that all go to that bolt right there. They're now hooked up to ground, so I don't have to keep running jump wires if I run power to anything. Not that I need to do that at the moment. Still got to figure out what to do with some linkages. That's just one of those things I can roll around in my head all day long, and will I figure it out or won't I? I don't know. You know, the patterns I had are long gone. I still got what came off this chassis, but you know, got to remember how it really was. And I do have the fertilizer buggy. It's got whatever we did on it. We took, I think, mostly what was already there. I think we just cleaned it up, made it a little stouter and a little cleaner. But this one, I'm pretty much starting from scratch. Nobody else did it for me first. So that's the story of my day. And really, I guess that's about it for the day. You know, number one was busy. They got the carburetor off my bike. She took it apart, and yeah, it wasn't the cleanest, so she cleaned that up. And, oh, well, what if the carb's still good? So they were checking online. Yeah, you can pick one up for $40. That ain't bad. But in the meantime, you know, it ran anyway. It's just that the thing always flooded out right off the bat. And that bike we really need to work on is one we got to spend some money on, because that blue bike, when they had it in the shop, we found out that there isn't even bushings or bearings in, but the camshaft lays on top in there. Try to get where I can show you on this one. That may not happen. Camshaft lays across. Drives from that end. Dead ends on this end. And apparently it didn't get enough oil pressure. Well, I mean, there was oil there when it was taken apart and hadn't been run for a while, but, you know, just didn't have enough pressure to lubricate the far bearing, which isn't even a bearing. They just machine out a spot in the aluminum housing, stick the shaft in it. If it had a bearing in it, it'd probably still be fine. But, you know, not everything's built to last forever. Most things aren't. Let's see. Becky had to go to town because some of this line, that piece is all right, but the other ones that were here were shit. And I like to use that. One thing I found out when we were messing with stuff here a while back, it's like, well, why don't you sell that stuff for good gas line in vehicles? It's not DOT approved. That's what they use on chainsaws. The stuff holds up great. So that's what's actually on a bunch of things around here now. We still use crappy fuel line because, it's DOT approved. And while she was there, there should have been one of these here, and I don't know what happened to it. I've got a piece of flex pipe to fix the exhaust on the 3394, and I had one of these. I needed to get one more, and boom, I didn't have any, so pick those up so that exhaust can actually get fixed at some point. And I don't know if I showed this the other day. One hydraulic valve. Well, 6. That's going to be my new valve for the booms. We should have done something like that way back when, but that's what's going to work. And somebody wants me making it ding. I'm done rambling anyway. So thank you for watching, everybody.